continue. Namo Om Vishnu Bhadhaya Krishna Bhrishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Sarasati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivasisha Sunyavari Pashtata Deshatarine Jai Srī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Oh, excuse me. Hare Krishna. Welcome, Hare Krishna. Chandravali just tuned in. Hare Krishna. So let's bring up so we can all read the Brhad Bhagavatamrta. 1, 2, 3. There it is. Hopefully you can see it. Oh. I presume you can see it.
Yes.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Now we can.
So we're continuing. Maharaj Parikshit is glorifying specifically the gopīs. And here, as we will read, he gets more specific here. And it's quite interesting because he will start glorifying Radharani. Okay, so let's begin. Does someone like to read this text and commentary? We might stop here and there. It's quite a lengthy commentary, so the tendency is if it's a long commentary, by the time we get to the end, then we forgot what we read in the beginning.
Yeah.
Shall I try?
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you so much.
My dear gopis, what auspicious activities must the flute have performed to enjoy the nectar of Krishna's lips independently and leave only the taste for us gopis, for whom that nectar is actually meant. The forefathers of the flute, the bamboo trees, shed tears of pleasure. His mother, the river, on whose bank the bamboo was born, feels jubilation, and therefore her blooming lotus flowers are standing like hair on her body. Commentary. Now that Parikshit Maharaj has sung the praises of the young gopis of Vraj, he turns his attention to the most excellent of those gopis, the blessed Sri Radha, whose ecstatic love for Krishna is so deep that mere words cannot do it justice. King Parikshit remembers how Srimati Radharani constantly hankers to drink the nectar of Sri Krishna's lips, so much so that when she hears Krishna's flute song from the distance, as he enters the Vṛndāvana forest, she imagines the flute to be tasting the nectar as it touches his lips. Thinking like that, she begins to envy the flute as if it were a rival lover. As her girlfriend stands and talk about Krishna, Srimati Radha Devi then interjects this comments of her own, Bhagavatam 10:21-9, which Parikshit Maharaj now chooses to recite.
Just if you pause there, Mother, there's a couple of interesting points here. Can anyone perhaps spot at least what one is? So Maharaj Parikshit has heard from Sukadeva Goswami. So what is it specifically about Sukadeva Goswami, or what doesn't he do? What doesn't Sukadeva Goswami do?
He doesn't write in Srimad Bhagavatam about Krishna.
Doesn't?
He didn't before, and then Narad Muni came in.
He didn't?
No, he did write. He wrote on that. He wasn't happy with what he'd written before.
No, and that's Srila Yaśodā. Yeah, no, yeah, you're right. Sukadeva Goswami is specifically, there's something quite peculiar, if I could dare say that word, about the Srimad Bhagavatam and Sukadeva Goswami's recitation of it. There's something he doesn't do.
He doesn't mention Radharani.
Yeah, he doesn't mention Radharani.
Yeah, he
Got it.
doesn't.
Only there's that one verse Radhika, I forget, I did learn it, where one certain gopi must have been more fortunate than us because Krishna has left and he's accompanied by one specific gopi. And it's understood by the acharyas, of course, that that one specific gopi is Radharani. So Maharaj Parikshit here, he's quoting directly from Venu Gita. He's directly quoting from Sukadeva Goswami, and he's directly speaking about Radharani. So it's interesting that he has understood, even though others in the assembly might not have understood. So he has understood that Sukadeva Goswami is here. This is directly from Bhagavatam. My dear gopis. So who is saying my dear gopis? So Maharaj Parikshit has identified that it's Radharani. Yeah. So it's very mystical how sometimes when a devotee speaks, especially an empowered soul like Sukadeva Goswami, they can speak, and depending on the qualification of the hearer, they may hear something which someone else can't. But they're speaking the same thing. You see, they're speaking about they were speaking about Krishna, and Sukadeva Goswami is not directly speaking about Radharani, but Maharaj Parikshit hears about Radharani when he's hearing Sukadeva Goswami. So that's Sukadeva Goswami's expertise. Sometimes devotees, we speak about Prabhupada's purports or Prabhupada's lectures, that he is addressing every level of devotee, the beginner, the intermediate, and the very advanced. So each is getting inspiration. And they're getting inspiration according to their qualification. Yeah, both the beginner and the intermediate and the advanced devotee. So that's the mystery, or that's the empowerment of Sukadeva Goswami. And the same with Prabhupada's purports. Like as we read Prabhupada's purports throughout our life, and hopefully as we get some level of purification in our practices, then things are going to become more apparent to us that were not apparent before. You know, things will stand out, which was always there, but we didn't see it. I'm sure we experience that all the time. When we read Bhagavad Gita, we come across things that, wow, I hadn't read that before, but you have read it before. But according to your qualification, you have gone a bit deeper. So it also highlights that Bhagavatam is not an ordinary book. It's actually Krishna, and it speaks individually to those who read it. It's very mysterious. It kind of speaks a certain message to those who are reading it. All the workings of the internal energy of the Lord. Well, that's one thing. So Maharaj Parikshit, he's speaking about Radharani, and Sukadeva Goswami has not directly mentioned her name, but he's heard it, you know. And also here it's mentioned about one of the qualifications for coming or being in the material world and staying here is that you have to be envious, okay? If you want to stay here, then you just keep being envious. Because there isn't, we hear there's no envy in the spiritual realm, but here there's envy. So anyone could perhaps explain it? She begins to envy the flute. And the other group, and sometimes that envy, you know, like that envy of the flute becomes quite acute, where they want to bury it, they want to burn it, they want to get rid of that bleeding flute. They want to do it harm. So how anyone could offer some explanation for this? We thought there was no envy, but here is the highest devotee. She is envious of the flute.
It's spiritual envy.
All right. So what's spiritual envy? Can you expand on that?
It's envy for not me, for Krishna, everything for Krishna, you know, like you want to please Krishna. So the flutes pleasing Krishna, they want to please Krishna.
Yeah, but I'm just bringing out that actually she not just wants to please Krishna, but at some point the gopis speak about burning the flute.
Is it because the flute is so intimately related to Krishna, because Krishna is actually putting the flute to his mouth, you know, to his lips, and the gopis feeling a bit jealous that they would like his lips on them.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But why should they be jealous? They should be saying, wow, the flute, you're so fortunate. Can we get your mercy, please? Such an advanced devotee. Instead, they begin to
hate the flute.
begin to hate the flute.
Just envious of the fact that he's so attached to his flute, and they feel neglected. That they
Yeah,
I
mean that's their
something like that.
Yeah, because for them, Krishna's lips belongs to them. It doesn't belong to this silly inanimate object, which gets all the attention. And sometimes and they complain, and sometimes the gopis bring up, actually, there's something which is very wrong about this. The flute is actually a mouth. So it's wrong. It's irreligious that the flute is drinking Krishna's lips. And they get a whole discussion they have about this. That's called Venu Gita.
Wow.
But yeah.
In spiritual world, even the flute has life. Flute
Yeah,
is
even
life. So it's just that particular jiva prefers to be a flute instead of a human body.
Yeah, it seems that way. Yeah, it's cool way. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes the flute plays of its own accord without Krishna blowing into it. Sometimes Krishna's in so much ecstasy. That is one pastime in Venu Gita. No, somewhere else, not Venu Gita, where Krishna and Balaram are dancing. And they're in so much ecstasy in the dancing in front of their friends and impressing them that the flute starts to play of its own accord and join in the music to accompany Krishna's dancing. But how to understand it? This is all unmada. This is, you could say, the madness of love. You know, sometimes you hear about Radharani, she speaks to she speaks to inanimate objects. She speaks to trees, bees are animate, but she speaks to trees, she speaks to deer, who cannot, they don't have human intelligence, but she relates to them and she speaks to them. So this is all Radharani's supreme unmada, or transcendental loving madness, you know. So it takes on this form where she speaks, where they deride the flute. And it said she begins to envy the flute. So as you said, I think someone said it is transcendental envy. It's not the envy that is going on here in the material world. It's the envy that is, what's it? It's a symptom of love. I forget the word for it. You got the main rasas, then you got emotions that come from those main rasas. And sometimes things like this come out. Envy, you know. It's described in the Nectar of Devotion. All these different feelings, all these different emotions come out from intense love for Krishna. Yeah, just like one of the intense emotions that Radharani has, that sometimes she derides and ignores Krishna and refuses to speak to him. It's like there's a symptom of her intense divine love. You know, it's as much as we can understand. Yeah, so it's not the envy that's going on here. Okay, I'm sure we understand that.
It's a little bit funny because he's playing the flute for the gopis, so it's a bit strange why the gopis are envious of the flute, because he's actually playing it for them.
Yeah, it's a bit strange, but you try and explain that to the gopis. They're in complete transcendental loving madness and attraction to Krishna. So for them, They want direct contact with Krishna, with Krishna's lips. If you try and tell the gopis, so, what's so right about it? At least you can hear it. So, hey, they actually want what the flute is getting, the touch of Krishna's transcendental form, his lips.
It is very deep, isn't it? That understanding, because
it is. It's very much
because they go into ecstasy when they listen to Krishna's flute. So, to be envious of the object that's making them go into ecstasy, it's a bit complicated. I'm trying to figure it out myself.
Yeah, the envy. Yeah, it's a good point. They're envious of the very source of their ecstasy. Because for them, imagine if they're hearing the sound of Krishna's flute, so that puts them into a great ecstasy. So I'd imagine what the flute's feeling to actually be touching Krishna's lips.
Yeah.
If what's coming out the flute is sending them into a madness of ecstasy, what nectar must the flute be tasting? And for all intents and purposes, okay, the flute is, we understand, it's transcendental. But from another platform, it's just a piece of wood. And they get so emotional about a piece of wood because they're covered by yoga maya, so they're not fully, so they're not aware that the flute is completely conscious, so they speak like that. Madness, but actually, sometimes when they manage to steal the flute from Krishna, they say, "What is so right about this flute for? We'll just throw it in the fire. We need some fuel for our fire. We might just throw it in the fire to, make our chapatis." Just a piece of wood. But they see so much in that piece of wood. Same as they see so much in the deer, they see so much in the cow. For them, the clouds are conscious and they're kind of, it's not fair. The clouds can see all Krishna's pastimes, We can't see it. We're locked away in our houses here. That's what they get. And it's all Venu Gita. Okay.
Shall I start?
Sorry?
Shall I read?
Yeah.
Sri Radha, addressing her friends, headed by Lalita, ask what good
Here we
deed
go. She's saying it here. Yeah, go on.
Flute, this lifeless piece of wood, could have done to earn the blessing of enjoying the nectar from Krishna's lips. If she could find out what the flute has done, the gopis could also do it and obtain the same favor. After all, the nectar of Krishna's lips belonged to them, not to the flute, Sri Radhika doesn't specifically say that the nectar is theirs to enjoy, but says only that the nectar is theirs, because she feels too shy to speak so explicitly. The flute may have the right to rest in the hands of his master, Damodar, or be held to Damodar's chest, or even his lips. But when that flute dares drink as much as he likes of the intoxicating nectar of Krishna's lips, that flute is being too bold. Because Sri Radha and her friends are members of the cowherd community and therefore have a close relationship with Krishna, they can claim ownership of the nectar from Krishna's lips. The flute is an outsider. If he continues the audacity of drinking the nectar, the gopis will have to steal him and take him to some secret place for safekeeping. Otherwise, the flute will take all the nectar himself, leaving only the remnants of its fragrance for the gopis.
Okay, so some more here. This is their mood. Yeah.
The rivers are like the flute mothers because their milk-like water enable the flute to grow to his present size. When the rivers contemplate the success of their son, the groves of lotuses growing in their waters bloom like hair on their bodies, standing jubilantly erect. And the bamboo trees in whose family the flute was born are too proud of him that they shed the downpour of ecstatic tears in the form of sweet sap. Their skin erupts in goosebumps, and they cry profusely like venerable elders of a clan who see one of their children become a servant of the personality of Godhead. The phrase Avishta Rasam, Avashishta Rasam, has several possible meanings. One is that the flute enjoys all the nectar of Krishna's lips, leaving not a drop for anyone else. Another is that as much as the flute drinks, his thirst, ras or a rag, remains unquenched, and being frustrated, he cannot stop drinking more and more. The third meaning of that is that the gopīs, having rejected all material taste, rasa, and having thus lost all interest in sense gratification in this life and the next, are attracted only to the taste of the nectar from Krishna's lips, and the flute, knowing this well, still deprives them of that nectar by drinking it himself.
Okay, just a little pause here. So again, as we know, Sanatana Goswami has given many different meanings and inputs or explanations of the different Sanskrit terms. So he's really expanding, it's like fluffing out cotton, it describes. And, I mean, the cotton is there, it's complete, but then the acharyas give a commentary and they fluff out what's already there. So he's given all these wonderful insights into the loving, or kind of the madness of the love of the gopis. Any little comments here, or quite deep stuff, as they say, the love of the gopis, and specifically Radharani. Yeah. So they want, so it gets to the point where, they're thinking of the birth. So what pious activities did that flute do? So let me do the same. Yeah, so Radharani's fingers. So the flute is in such a fortunate position. Why is it? How is it? Now we want to do the same austerities to actually get that position. So again, just speaking in the madness of love. Yeah, we're here. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. A more complex explanation of Avasista Rasam may be understood as follows. How fortunate this flute must be, the Yamuna and the other rivers of Vraj, who purify all the worlds by providing arrangements for bathing and other auspicious activities, are satisfied to partake of the mere remnants of nectar that Krishna's flute has left behind as dry pulp. Connoisseurs of devotional poetry know very well how the rivers of Vraj, during the water sport enjoyed by Krishna and gopis, obtain some of the nectar from Krishna's lips, Adharamrita, or perhaps only one of the rivers, Srī Kalindi Devi, Yamuna, is allowed to drink that Adharamrita directly, and the other rivers in Sri Vṛndāvana receive remnants from her, an opportunity they have earned by residing in the abode of Krishna's pastimes. After tasting even the smallest drop of nectar that remains, all the rivers feel transcendental bliss, and their bodily hairs stand on end. And since the rivers become ecstatic just to have a drop of that nectar, how pious must be Krishna's flute to be able to drink as much as he wants.
Yeah,
But provide...
sorry, just one point. Sorry, I keep stopping, but so it says that the rivers, their hairs stand on end. How is that? What does that mean? How can rivers, rivers don't have hairs.
They have the bamboos growing on their banks.
It's quite, it's the banks of the rivers, ecstatic. They become, they become ecstatic. So So this is what they see. They're seeing, like, for instance, when the cows, when they're chewing grass in the ears, we've heard Krishna's flute, they become stumble. They become stunned as far as the gopis' vision is concerned. So they see everyone has more love than what they have for Krishna. And they see themselves as bereft of this, of what the rivers have, or what the cows have. Sometimes they make the statement, fire on us, fire on us. We are born in these inner impious families and are imprisoned. But you got we're better fortunate are the rivers, more fortunate is the flute. So they're seeing that for them, when they're looking at the rivers, they're seeing ecstatic symptoms. This is what they see in their love. They see everyone else. So that's a symptom of, that's a devotee. Of course, we're not on, how could we dream of being on such a level as this? But it's the same principle. We should want to see others as being more advanced than us. This is the natural development that comes from love of Krishna, is a natural humility, where you see others as being more advanced than you. The gopis are not saying we're the most, the gopis are not in a mentality of we are the most advanced, Radharani's not thinking she's the most advanced. She's thinking she's the most wretched and unfortunate. Because actually, looking at the cows and looking at the rivers and looking at this piece of bamboo, this flute, is getting much more nectar than what I am getting. So it's a nice mentality to develop, to try and meditate upon, because it is a pure devotional, this is the mood of the residents of Vṛndāvana. And if getting a bit deep, but if we want to go there, we have to develop the humility of the residents of Vṛndāvana. And so this is the gopis. They see them, everything, even inanimate objects, as being more advanced than them. Actually having more love for them. So you can learn a lot as sadhakas, just from hearing these descriptions. Yeah. All right, you can read the last part.
By providing shade and fruits for everyone, the pipala and other trees on the bank of the Vraja's rivers are like the elders of a noble family who perform auspicious service for others. Those trees cry unhappy tears because they cannot receive the nectar from Krishna's lips. We may wonder why the trees cannot share this nectar, or may doubt whether trees should be crying in disappointment when they don't receive it. After all, a beggar may be sorry for having nothing to eat, but he shouldn't lament that he can't rule the kingdom. This doubt is dispelled by the knowledge that the trees of Vraja are Aryans, great saints. As exalted devotees of Srī Kṛṣṇa, the trees are moved to tears by sadness when they don't obtain Krishna's Adharamrta, even though they have no right to claim it. Or, taking another meaning of the word Adhara, the ones
crying.
The ones crying in frustration are the mothers-in-law and other respected elders of Sri Radha.
Yeah, okay. So this is as we know, difficult for us to actually really appreciate fully, but the transcendental nature of the spiritual realm. Yeah. As we heard many times, everything is conscious and has a specific relationship with Krishna. I heard this description the other day of one interesting thing to meditate upon. It's good to try and imagine what the spiritual world is like. We can read it and we try and imagine in our mind's eye, but that's all we can really do. But for example, like when we go to a forest, or when we go, isn't it? You see, if you go to a forest or a scenic place, then you're going to see, it's going to look nice, but you're going to see, for instance, when you walk through a forest, then, I mean, often when I travel a bit and I go to US, and we normally go for walks and we go in forests and things like that. And you're walking and you're seeing a lot of dead trees, a lot of trees. You've seen that? A lot of trees are blown over and the branches are broken. Some trees are diseased and they've got all this fungus on it. And you see flowers and you see weeds and flowers that are dead. For instance, if you go to, in a certain year, you go to Regent's Park, and a certain time of year, you see all these beautiful roses, and you go a few weeks later and they're all dead and it looks terrible. It looks like a graveyard. But just imagine there is no decay. There is no death or decay of anything in the spiritual world. So there is no such thing as a dead flower in the spiritual world. You will not see a dead tree in the spiritual world. You will not see a tree that's fallen over, unless it's the Arjuna trees. That's another story. At least I'm trying. I was speculating a bit too much, but is there leaves that fall off the trees in the spiritual world? There's a statement that not a leaf falls. There's a whole discussion, but just trying to picture the actual spiritual realm and the internal energy, where you walk into a forest and everything is alive. There is no dead flowers. It's all eternal. It's all pretty wonderful and inconceivable. Gayatri Mother, you have your hand raised?
Yes, I have a question. Don't they have winter season?
Yeah, good point. They do. There is seasons.
That's good, but how does it look like? Green trees? Snow?
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm trying to understand. I guess it must, perhaps I'm taking it too far. Perhaps there might be the pastime of different seasons that come and flowers that bloom, because the gopis go and pick flowers. So I imagine I'm trying to understand something that's inconceivable. Yeah, it's a good point. There are different seasons. There was winter, but I mean, there's no snow in Vṛndāvana, as far as I know. It's not the winter we get here.
Well, they should have everything that we have, no?
Yeah, but that's why I'm questioning do they have decay? Is there dead trees lying everywhere? Is there trees that are diseased? Is there flowers that are diseased? Is there
Because there's no time there. There's no
time.
conception of time, so
Yeah,
there's no decay. So I don't. Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out.
yeah, I guess sometimes it's said if you want to really understand, you have to go there and check it out.
Don't come back.
Well, you won't come back, that's for sure. No one has ever come back who's gone there.
Okay, what you all can do is give me all your blessings, Pikey. I go up and I'll send you a text from there.
Actually, yeah, I don't think there's
exactly how we said it was.
Yeah, I can send you a whatever.
Yeah. I can ask great devotees, those who've entered into that realm, even there in their corporal material body, some have entered. It is.
Maharaj would know probably, because he's, written quite a lot about
Yeah,
Vṛndāvana.
it'd be an interesting question to ask. Is there such thing as, fallen trees, dead, wilted plants?
Season.
I mean, there's definitely seasons, because the actual seasons, like for instance, there's in Radhakund or in Vṛndāvana, there's different gardens which are resided over by a different season. So there's a place where winter is, and all the flowers that bloom in winter. Then there's a place of autumn. Oh, autumn, is it autumn? That's when.
But if they collect twigs for fire, there is some sort of decay, because twigs have to be dry for fire. If you're collecting twigs for fire, have to be dry twigs.
Yeah, I think Mother Gayatri is being very intelligent here. Yes. Yeah, they have to but they use cow dung, no? But they use trees to make. But also in the spiritual world, there's carpenters there. And there's stonemasons, and there's
related.
Yeah, so they make furniture out of wood. So I guess I'm just trying to philosophically trying to take it too far. But anyway, it's just a thought I was having the other day, when I heard this description. But yeah.
Interesting.
No, Dhanukasura. When
Yeah.
Krishna world went through him, then he fell on a tree, and then all the trees went down.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, trees do. That was in Burma, though, isn't it? Because there's no demons in. Anyway, we better read on. We're just speculating. Okay, someone like to read 154. Check out the size of the purple. Wow, one biggie purple.
Wait, stop. I read a bit and then stop.
Okay,
Okay,
go on. You like to read?
shall I read?
Yeah.
Or does anybody else want to read? They can.
You can read a little bit and then I can help you and
No, you
finish off.
do read. Mohini, read.
I won't be able to read all of it.
It's all right. I read after you.
No, you can share it out. It's okay.
It's from Lord Krishna, yeah? Text
Correct, yeah.
154.
Yeah. This
Yes.
is a famous verse. Devakī jana-nivāsa. Yeah, go on.
Lord Srī Kṛṣṇa, the ultimate resort of all living entities, is also known as Devakīnandana or Yaśodā-nandana, the son of Devakī and Yaśodā. He is a guide of the Yadu dynasty, and with his mighty arms, he kills everything inauspicious. And every man who is impious, by his presence, he destroys all misfortune for all living entities, moving and inert. His blissful smiling face always increases the lusty desires of the gopīs of Vṛndāvana. May he be all glorious and happy.
Yeah, this verse comes at the very end of the 10th canto. This is a concluding glorification. Go on.
Commentary. Srī Parikshit Maharaj recited several verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam to glorify generally and specifically the residents of Gokula. Now, to conclude properly and invoke inauspiciousness, he glorifies the supremacy of
auspiciousness.
Auspiciousness. He glorifies the supremacy of the personality of Godhead by again repeating the words of his own spiritual master, Sukadeva Goswami. Just as Agastya Rishi drank from his palm the entire salt ocean, the divine Sukadeva spoke this verse in an effort to drink from his own palm the entire ocean of Srī Kṛṣṇa's pastimes, described in the Bhagavatam 10th canto. Srila Sukadeva places this verse near the very end of the canto as a complete synopsis of the pastimes discussed in several thousand verses. The verse that immediately precedes this is the Bhagavatam mentioned Krishna explicitly, and Krishna's glories are the focus of this part of Sukadeva's narrative. Thus, even though the present verse does not mention Krishna by name, it is obviously about him. Just as Parikshit Maharaj sang the praise of different Vrajavasis in order of their relative importance, Sukadeva here tells of his 6 special aspects of Srī Kṛṣṇa's super excellence in order of increasing importance. First, Krishna is the nivāsa, the residence, shelter and foundation of all living beings. He also resides as the super soul within their hearts. And
sorry. Too much.
And he manifests externally, especially among his janas.
That's good.
Or favorite devotees in the forms of his numerous incarnations. Thus he is the supreme Brahman, the supreme Atma, the Lord of all, the seed of all avatars.
Okay, so now we have a transcendental jana-nivāsa in Bible. Him and his brother who passed away, Pankajani, so jana-nivāsa. So next time you hear that name, this is what it means, jana-nivāsa, and it comes from this verse, yeah?
That's interesting.
Jana-nivāsa, the shelter, the residence of the foundation of all living beings. Jana means like people, jana-nivāsa. Let's look nivāsa. Let's just have a look at this. Yeah, he who lives among human beings and is the ultimate result of all living entities. So, jana-nivāsa.
Lovely name. What a lovely meaning.
Yeah. So next time you see jana-nivāsa or hear about him, you can understand. Yeah.
In the forms of his numerous incarnations. Thus he is the supreme Brahman, the supreme Atma, and the Lord of all, the seed of all avatars. Second, Krishna displays the extreme limit of his manifold opulence in the respectful words he spoke to his father and mother at the time of his birth. When he described the reason for his birth as their son and his desire to be carried to Gokul by this unprecedented revelation of the purpose of his descent, he proved himself the most generous bestower of benedictions and the most compassionate protector of his parents. And by ordering Vasudev to carry him to Gokul, Krishna showed his intention to distribute far and wide the most precious treasure of Brahma.
So this is jana-nivāsa, another meaning. So Sanatana Goswami is expanding it. Yeah. Distribute far and wide the jana, the precious treasure of prema. Well,
Third, by having the most excellent Yadus as his companions and servants, Krishna further demonstrates the supreme opulence of his appearance as Srī Yadavendra. Krishna puts to an end the distress of his dear servants, the Yadus, and secures their happiness by killing wicked enemies of their clan, like Kamsa and Jarasandha. Thus, he shows his absolute concern for his devotees. The phrase Yadu Vara Parisat indicates that Krishna is served by the exalted members of the Yadu dynasty. Or, since the word Parisat carries the meaning assembly, we can understand the phrase to mean that Krishna brought down to the earth the Sudharma assembly hall of the demigods, making it the court of the king of the Yadus. Ugrasena, the Sudharma hall is but one of many treasures of heaven, including the Parijat tree that Krishna brought to the earth. Thus Krishna, by defeating the demigods on several occasions, displayed his supreme power and opulence, and by giving the royal assembly hall to Ugrasena, the father of his Achami Kamsa, the Lord displayed his causeless, unequal kindness.
one second.
Fourth,
I just want to go back here and look at Yadu Vara Parishat, served by the exalted members of the dynasty. Yeah. So this, as far as I remember, this Shrudama hall, it has a specific quality, because that's a place where all the kings and princes would meet to discuss, I guess, transcendental politics, to discuss the affairs of the kingdom. And upon entering it, one is automatically freed from all human frailties. Any disease disappears, any tiredness disappears. One has full power of senses and intellect just by entering this hall. So pretty far out hall.
and it's got the Parijat tree.
Yeah, the Parijata tree.
Parijata tree.
Parijata tree is all it says, perhaps in the courtyards of the hall.
Fourth, although Krishna could have effortlessly done away with the causes of irreligion simply by using his supreme will to create pleasurable pastimes for his devotees, he killed the demoniac opponents of religion by using his mighty arms long, well-developed, beautifully shaped, adorned with armlets and other ornaments, and bearing weapons like his Sudarshan disc, as described in the Sri Harivamsa narration of Krishna's battle with Bhanusura. When fighting such enemies, Krishna would sometimes, for the special delight of select devotees, manifest 4 arms instead of 2. Therefore, Sukadev uses the plural form Dorbi instead of the dual form Dorbayam, which is normally used to indicate only 2 arms. Or, understanding the word arms, another way, devotees who assisted Krishna, such as the Pandavas, acted as his arms. Krishna used these Kshatriyas, originally born from his arms, to kill envious enemies and uproot the power of irreligion. Of course, Krishna, by his mere desire, could have killed Jarasandha and all the other wicked kings who opposed him. But out of fatherly compassion, he chose to share his fame with his devotees.
Yeah, just one point here. Sorry. Yes, the statement in the verse is quite strong. It says that he kills with his mighty arms, he kills everyone who is irreligious. So this now it's being described, you know.
Fifth. Sorry.
Sorry?
Shall I carry on?
No, just one also point. So Krishna is you know, he's Uttama Sloka, so he performs very many wonderful pastimes. So he could just correct everything, or he could kill all the irreligious principles just by making them drop dead. Anyone who's irreligious, they could all just drop dead, you know, by Krishna's arrangement. But there wouldn't be much rasa, there wouldn't be much excitement, and it wouldn't be very attractive. So Krishna's going to perform all these wonderful, amazing pastimes of killing different demons and just to attract people. And we can see, isn't it, that we see that's what people, isn't it? You watch, I mean, I don't watch films, I haven't watched for many years, but you can see a lot of films that normally there's a person playing a superhero, isn't there? There's someone who's doing amazing things. There's someone who is alive despite being one person, is attacked by a whole army. And they can beat the whole army.
Yeah.
And that's the hero. We see it everywhere. There's all these, and there's a main character who triumphs, who triumphs over so-called evil. You know, and that's all that's all it consists of. So that's all the souls are kind of aching for in its origin, it's all there in Krishna. The way Krishna killed the demons and the adventures he has, you know, it's all found in Krishna, but it takes on, the soul is kind of, I can explain, the soul is enamored by that hero type of role. So people like watching these things where someone, you know, they're just on their own and they've, you know, and they kill these 10 bad guys, you know.
Like the excitement of the fight.
Yeah, it's the excitement's there as well. But originally it's all there in Krishna. It's all there in Krishna's pastimes. So, but unfortunately, we're attracted to these stupid, perverted reflections when it's all there in Krishna's pastimes. You know? What I think will help is like if we have more films like that film of Lord Nrsimhadev, you know?
Yeah.
If we could put, because you know, most people are addicted to watching things and seeing things on the screen. They may not be able to appreciate it just by reading a book. Unfortunately, they might have that qualification. So that's why these films like this, where they dramatize, for instance, Lord Nrsimhadev's pastime, it's like, wow. You know,
Yeah.
there should be more like that. Anyway, sorry, keep interrupting, but
That's okay.
any comments or questions, please feel free anyone to ask. So go on, carry on.
Okay. Fifth, while enjoying his pastimes in Gokul, Krishna expanded the fullness of his loving devotional service. Although the pastimes Krishna performed in Mathura and Dwarka occurred after his pastimes in Gokul, here they were mentioned in inverse order because Krishna's excellencies are most completely manifest in Gokul. Krishna generously bestowed his prema bhakti on all the residents of Vṛndāvana, including even the non-moving beings, such as the creepers, bushes, and trees, what to speak of the moving creatures, down to even the insects and microbes. Disregarding their lack of qualifications, he gave them the gift of loving devotion to himself, which automatically destroyed all the troubles of material existence.
So this is referring to the part in the verse where he gives mercy to the animate and inanimate objects, just by his traversing from different places, Mathura, Dwarka, then all the trees, everything inanimate became transcendentally enlivened. You know?
Or from another angle, just as the happiness available in heaven is an impediment for those who want liberation, the happiness of liberation is an impediment for those who want loving devotional service to Krishna. That distressful obstacle, that so-called happiness, Krishna effortlessly destroys for all the devotees spontaneously attracted to him in Vṛndāvana and elsewhere in Rajbhumi. Simply by expanding his Prem Bhakti throughout Rajbhumi, Krishna delivers the moving and non-moving residents of Raj from the miseries of both material entanglement and impersonal liberation. Indeed, when Krishna expands the flood of love of God in Raj, all moving and non-moving living beings in the three worlds were relieved of the unhappiness of material existence.
So I just that sentence again. Just when Krishna expanded the flood of love of God in Raj, so it spread out, all moving and non-moving living beings in the three worlds were relieved of the unhappiness of material existence. So it kind of expanded out. That bliss just rolled over all the planets in the three worlds, and everyone was relieved. Yeah, it's going to explain. Carry on, yeah.
Just as a fire lit for the sake of cooking also dispels cold and darkness, the spread of Krishna Bhakti automatically freed of all living beings from material miseries as a secondary result. In fact, when Krishna descended to Gokul on earth, he freed all his devotees throughout the universe from attraction to liberation, which they may obtain as easily as yogis obtain wonderful siddhis. This freedom was an automatic byproduct of the unalloyed prema displayed in Rajbhumi, but even though all devotees in the universe were thus freed, the devotees living in Raj during Krishna's pastimes gained the fullest relief from the dangers of liberation and material entanglement. Finally, sixth, Krishna most fully reveals his greatest glories, his fascinating beauty, charm, and cleverness. In his pastimes with the young gopis of Raj, during Krishna's presence, Rajbhumi became like an opulent city, Pura, bustling with Krishna's many different pastimes and romantic dalliances. Krishna's lovely smiling face, decorated by his flute and various ornaments, enchants the woman living in Raj. The god of love, Kamdev, is called Kamdeva, is called Deva because he brilliantly radiates the beauty of Krishna's face, gives Kamadeva unlimited power over the gopis, a power that conquers the attractions of material life and transcends even the attraction of liberation.
Okay, let me just 1 second. Just go back to the verse and pick up that part. This is, Vadayank at the end here. Sushamita Shriyamukhena. So Shushimita, so smiling face. See? Susmita Shrimukhena. Raja Bhura Vanitaram. Increasing the transcendental lusty desires of the gopis that we know these are spiritual desires. Okay, so Vadayam Kama Devam Susmita Shri Mukhena. That's what Sanat Goswami is describing, finishing here. Okay, we're back here.
Okay. Yeah. Cupid is famous for spoiling the self-interest of everyone he influences, but for the gopis of Raj, Cupid destroys the bounds of material existence. He helps the gopis bring Sri Krishna under their control and assumes for them the forms of mukti and bhakti. Thus, Cupid arranges for the gopis to realize Krishna in his full glory and enjoy his company as ever fresh as every moment. Attraction to Krishna in the mood of the gopis may itself be called Kamadeva, the god of love, or love, because the most excellent form of desire is that which focuses unconditionally on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only such single-pointed desire involves in the most exalted state of pure love.
Yeah, just one point here. This is not the Cupid that hangs around in the material world, okay? You know, if you go to Leicester Square and you see there, not Leicester Square, Piccadilly Circus.
Piccadilly.
Yeah, you see that. It's often depicted in poetry, you know, Cupid. Oh, what's another name for it? Never. Right. So this is not the material Cupid. When it speaks about Cupid here, ultimately it's the loving attraction of Krishna, specifically of the gopis, but that Krishna's a pure, you know, how he attracts the gopis' pure sentiment of love through his form, through his glancing, through his flute playing, and how the transcendental spiritual love, the selfless love of the gopis, it also enamors Krishna. So when it's speaking about Kamadev, that's what it's speaking about. Krishna is the ultimate pure form of it's Kamadev. It's quite deep things, but it's not, just to let you know, it's not the Cupid that's hanging around here and inspiring lusty desires into the hearts of conditioned souls. This is transcendental attraction of the soul to Krishna through spontaneous love. So for those who chant the Gayatri mantra, this is what the last mantra is all about. Okay. So next time you're chanting it, you might try and think of this. The last mantra which we chant of our Gayatri mantras is all about Kamadev. And there's a specific meditation on that as well. So next time you're chanting, you can try and invoke this meditation. Of course, we're not qualified, but that's what it's all about. Okay.
Mataji, do you want to read or do you want me to?
Again,
there's not much there now, is there? Okay.
go on.
Yes.
Okay, it's from
The word. Yeah.
The word of the attraction.
The word.
The word Deva
also indicates the idea of play. Taken in that sense, it indicates that in pastimes of intimate enjoyment, the beauty of Krishna's face expands the play of Cupid among the gopis. The beauty of Krishna's face has a powerful effect on the gopis, much to his delight. It makes them forget the four goals of life and raises them to the highest level of pure prema, which is the mature fruit of all devotional endeavors. In this way, Krishna's smiling face represents the ultimate greatness of the Supreme Person, the magnificence of his charm, his beauty, and his expertise in loving affairs. It is not without reason that Sukadeva Goswami uses the word Vṛndāvana, increasing, in the present tense. It expresses the fact that Krishna's pastimes go on eternally in Vrajbhumi. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10:44-13, the women of Mathura also use the present tense to describe Krishna sporting in Vṛndāvana, even after he has moved to Mathura.
Okay, just missed that word.
Oh my God, it's too big for me.
Yeah.
He whose feet are worshipped by Lord Shiva and the goddess Rama is wandering about in Vṛndāvana, enacting in many pastimes. The fact of Krishna's eternal presence in Vṛndāvana is upheld by many statements of scriptures and by the personal experience of many unalloyed devotees, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Mathura Bhagavan Yatra.
You just read the translation, it's okay.
Okay, Mathura is very intimately connected with Krishna, for Lord Krishna lives there eternally. The word Pura suggests the city of Mathura, and indeed, Krishna increases the influence of Cupid for both the women of Vraj and the women of Mathura city. But the mention of the city more confidentially implies that when Krishna goes away to Mathura, the gopis become immersed in the agony of separation. It is then that they achieve the highest limit of prema. and therefore Srila Sukadeva, even while glorifying Krishna's sports with the gopis in Gokul, has alluded to his going to Mathura. In summary, the same Super Soul who resides in the hearts of all living beings took up residence in the womb of Devaki. As the Super Soul, he is only the passive indwelling supervisor. But as the son of Devaki, he speaks and reciprocates with her in many loving ways. The mighty heroes of Yadu dynasty are the Supreme Lord's servants, and they are able to defeat all the forces of evil. Still, the Lord chooses to use his own two arms to kill opposing kings. He also destroys the sins and miseries of all moving and non-moving creatures. But with the gopis, he acts in a seemingly contrary way. Although they are married to other men, he incites in them the influence of Cupid and becomes their paramour. Thus he only increases their shame and misery. The gopis themselves are not at fault in theirs, because it is the beauty of Krishna's face that causes their predicament. By thus presenting so many alternative understanding, Srila Sukadeva Goswami proves beyond any doubt the super excellence of Krishna and his wonderful qualities, such as his compassionate concern for his devotees.
Okay, Hari Om, that's wonderful. Right? Now it's just gone 7. Let's just read the verse again. So beautiful verse. Jayati jana-nivāsa Devakī jana-vādo Yadu vara parishat sodapi asyanadamam Shtira chira vijanagana Srī Srimukena Vajapura Vanitaram Vadayam Kamadevam. Lord Krishna is the ultimate result of all living entities. Is also known as Devakīnandana or Yaśodā-nandana, the son of Devakī and Yaśodā. He is the guide of the Yadu dynasty, and with his mighty arms he kills everything inauspicious and every man who is impious. By his presence he destroys all misfortune for all living entities, moving and inert. His blissful smiling face always increases the lusty desires of the gopīs of Vṛndāvana. May he be all glorious and happy. Jayati. May he be all glorious and happy. That's Sukadev's ecstatic summary of Krishna's pastimes after speaking it to Maharaj Parikshit. Jayati. Okay, let's not stop, let's pause, and we'll continue next. Firstly, gradually, as we keep on saying, getting to the end of this reading.
That's it. I think next week should finish it.
Yeah, we might do. Let's see how it goes. I mean, I've got an idea. If we finish early during our session, then what I'm thinking of do, it's got a nice index, so we can go back and just look at all the different chapters that we've gone through, and it can kind of refresh the storyline,
That'd be good, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just show you. For instance, it's got here, like if I go here, where is it? You can see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you get to, I mean, I went through it just before we opened up today. And yeah, I kind of got I've got some type of recall of each of these subjects, so we can go through that, and have a good overview. Yeah, before
make it last for 5 weeks.
Huh?
Make it last for 5 weeks.
I never know. Good. Okay, let's not stop. Let's pause, and please join us next week. Yeah, and we continue. Jai Bhagavatamrta ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His grace, Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Ram, Ram Ram, Hari Hari.